Pause.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So basically, in this stream, we're going to be talking about our top altcoins for 2018. And originally we were going to do top 10, but we don't see any reason to limit it or have to talk about top 10. This is really kind of like more off the top of our head. But yeah, somebody is microwaving. But when we talk about top 10, it's not going to be like Ethereum, Neo, Ripple. We're not talking about the top 10 in market cap per se. We're rather talking about the top 10 coins that are going to make significant gains, aka Jurian dollars. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're ready to get into it, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, the first one that we'll be discussing is yes, AION is on the list. We might as well start there. I kind of shocked some people on Twitter when I said I sold all my Ven to enter AION around the I think it was around like 22,000 Satoshi level, and Ven was sitting very strongly around 47,000 Sats. Oh, before we go forward, this is not financial advice. This is just FOZ and my opinions. Just want to get that out the way. But yeah, I did it because I saw the upside, and I actually sold the Ven. I had a good amount of it, made up about 15-20% of my portfolio, and you gotta realize we entered in like 2,000 to 3,000 Sat range. I took plenty of profit from 60 to 80,000 Sats, but even at 47, that's still tremendous. That's over a 20x, and somebody had shared a chart on Twitter and it showed like Ven was the only positive coin like in the top market, like legitimate size coin in 2018. So it was just it was time to reallocate into stuff that has stronger potential to rebound harder. So the majority of the BTC that I sold went right into AION and right into Qash. So AION, if you've seen my video, obviously I'm very positive outlook on it. The catalysts that I mentioned have yet to happen. So right now it's taken a proper beating. It's really in the basement, and it is yet to be listed on Korean exchanges. They haven't done their ICOs. I believe they have 5 planned in April. Foz, you probably know better than I do about the ICOs. But yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I think it's a really good sign for AION, being that Korea just recently came out and said that they will be regulating and supporting ICOs. So, do what you will. It's something that I'm extremely confident in. It's my number one holding. I think it has to do with me putting in. Okay, Foz, try talking again.
Yep. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So Foz was saying that he participated in the pre-sale of Blue Whale. That's AION's first ICO. Foz has an echo there. Okay.
I can't have an echo because I'm using headphones. Major echo.
How about now?
Say something.
All right, I think you're good, Foz.
All right. Yeah, because I'm wearing like headphones. It can't be for me. So do you have speakers on? Because I don't have speakers on anyways.
Yeah, so if anyone has any suggestions on how to fix this, I'm going to have to get this straightened out. The problem for my audio is when I use my headphones, the stream doesn't record the audio. And the only time you can hear Foz is when I have my actual my speakers on, and then you end up with an echo. So, yeah, I'm not a self-proclaimed stream expert, or I'm working on it. But if anybody has any pointers or tips, please DM me, hit me up on Telegram, something. Yeah, FOZ does look serious. So back to Icon. Obviously, we're both pretty bullish on it. I think it's going to perform really, really well. In my opinion, we could see anywhere from $25 to $50 this year. And who knows? I mean, crypto could get really crazy, and we've seen crazier things happen, but I think it has massive, massive upside. So that's why I chose Icon as the first one to discuss. So Faz, you wanna talk about the next one?
Is obviously, I mean, just back to Icon is the fact that they already have the partnerships. So nowadays it's like, I don't know, it's like 100 fucking platforms. There's EOS, Ethereum, Icon, and these are the biggest ones. There's
Cardano, Ethereum
yeah, there's
Classic,
like there's
Stratus,
shitloads of
Qtum,
them.
so
There's
many.
shitloads. So you have to realize that the how a platform becomes successful is if people use it, like Ethereum. Icon already has partnerships, so uh, it makes the most sense to back them at this point, unless these other, because we don't know what these other platforms are going to come with at tomorrow and be like, oh, by the way, we got a partnership with Microsoft and Dell. We can't predict that. We already know that Icon has a lot of partnerships lined up, right? So that's why it makes the most sense to back them at this point for
Yep.
the future. I mean, for the
Yep.
current coming
These
future.
things can change. All right, so we might as well transition to the next coin I'm going to discuss, and that coin is VeChain, because people are saying, "Are you down on VeChain? Are you down on Ven?" It was a trader's play. I still love Ven. I love its potential this year. I think it's going to do exceptionally well, and I am not closed to re-entering. However, at Saturday and Sunday, it was just the way VeChain had performed versus the rest of the market. It was in such a position of strength that I had to use that leverage of owning VeChain and put it into something that would be able to give me quicker gains right away. And it worked out. I mean, it clearly worked out. But it doesn't take anything away from how good a project VeChain is. If you've watched,
It's more of a financial decision rather than rather than the fact that you lost trust in the project. When something's already above a billion and something's at like 150 million, it's a lot easier for the 150 million to 4x than the billion project to 4x.
Yep.
It's just a financial decision. That's it.
Yeah, and it wasn't an easy decision because there have been other times where specific coins have just continued to grow, meanwhile the rest of the market died. We've seen that with Neo and Walton, and I take the risk of watching altcoins bleed and the positions I open bleed. Meanwhile, Ven just goes to the moon. That can happen. So it is a risk, but it's something that I decided to do, and I'm standing by it. But VeChain has as strong fundamentals as any project in the space. I still contest that. I believe that it has a strong potential to, but it could be a top 5 coin this year. And I believe the market is going to continue to grow. You watched a coin like Ripple make some serious moves. It was a large cap, but money kept flowing into it. And similar to Icon, VeChain isn't on Bithumb. It isn't on some of the big Korean exchanges. It isn't on Bittrex. Not that Bittrex really matters, but we'll have to wait and see when mainnet launches, what type of apps are built on it, what type of ICOs go on it, and VeChain could potentially be very, very big. So just because I sold it doesn't mean that I don't believe in it and that I don't think it's going to continue to yield exceptional gains this year. I didn't lock anything. I have zero VeChain right now.
It's literally the same reason why you would sell Ether for another project, for an ICO. It's the same concept. Because you think that Ether into the ICO will give you more money back rather than keeping an Ether. It's the same concept, only on a smaller scale.
Yeah. All right. Faz, you want to talk about the next one? Do a little NCASH?
NCASH,
Yeah.
Nucleus. Yeah, so NCASH is, I think it's an interesting project. it's one of the only projects that actually opened up strongly in this shitty market. I think it went to like 3 or 4x, maybe 5x at the peak, and so that's a good sign. Although you could argue that the half the reason for that was because it opened on Binance straight away. So it's hard to say whether it's because the project is that good or because of the Binance effect. Because nowadays there's not a lot of new coins opening straight to Binance, right? So that could be one of the reasons. But if anyone has followed Nucleus before, it looks very strong on paper. They have a good team. The idea makes sense. The markets they're targeting are ripe for their idea as well. So it's not like they're being unrealistic, because they want to target retail in America and India, which makes a lot of sense, because America has a large retail market and India has like 20% of the world's people. So in that sense, it does make a lot of sense. Now, the thing that makes me curious is, talking about NCASH, you have to, I'm not sure if people realize, but there is a competitor coming very, very soon with a similarly strong team, maybe even
Shopping?
stronger, I would say, on paper. Shopping. Yeah. So I'm very curious to see how they do. They've got a similar-ish project, but they're not targeting the Indian market. They have a different target market, and they had a similar high cap, like $50 million, because these guys need like tens of millions of dollars to get their stuff done. So Shopping's coming out soon, this month, I think, or end of this month or beginning of next month. So if you like Nucleus, you should keep an eye out on Shopping as well, because this is again one of those things. We don't know which one of these will announce more partnerships in the next few weeks. That's always a surprise, because unless you know someone on the team, you have no idea what they're going to what they're going to announce partnership wise. Shopping could come out like. By the way, if people aren't aware, Shopping also won the ICO competition in BTC Miami or some conference in Jan. They were the first place in the ICO competition as well.
So I think we should address. This is one of the most common things that I see in regards to NCASH. People say, "Why do 90% of the tokens belong to the team and the advisors?" And the way I judge that question is, first off, we know that they took a lot of precautions to avoid like any sort of legal trouble. There's significant lockups for the pre-sale ICOs and things of that nature. But when you see a project where the advisors, initial investors, and team own a majority of the tokens, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a scam. It means that they need to get people to buy the tokens if they want to sell them. There will be no liquidity for them to sell. Therefore, they have a vested interest in performance. They want the coin to go up. They don't, so I don't look at that as necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I'd like to hear what you think about that, FOZ, but it kind of compared to Salt. Salt was even worse as far as like the people that got in on like the seed rounds. There were so many like outside investors that were whales, and they had so much Salt for under $1. It didn't stop Salt from performing exceptionally well. So, I'd like to hear your take on that.
If the project is good, any project at the end of the day is filled with people that will try and get their friends and family in first for a good deal, because everyone wants their friends and family to come out ahead. Same thing happened with Metal, by the way. They did not have a public ICO. They had the wholesale, and they sold I think Metal coins to their friends and family for I don't know, 25, 50, 30, 40 cents, and it opened at like $8. So it's not too bad, but it's just what people do. People help out their friends and family, and you can't, if it's a good project, it's still going to survive as long as as long as not too many tokens are sold like that, and they have some kind of lockup. Nowadays, all of these kind of sales have lockups, because all the lawyers keep telling them you have to lock it up. Otherwise, you're going to get in legal trouble. Otherwise, it looks like a massive pump and dump. You can't just be like, yo, just buy this. You can't call your college roommate and be like, oh, buy this for 25 cents. And when it opens, you can sell it for $8. That sounds kind of shady to the SEC now. So it doesn't happen that much anymore. It's a bit under control.
So one other comment that I get is people talk about the supply of NCASH. Now, back in like November, October, supply was something that anytime I proposed a coin was a good value, like VChain, for instance, they said, look how many tokens it has. Look at all the tokens in supply. And Walton only has this many tokens. Why would you buy that? And what people need to realize is that it's not the amount of tokens, it's the market cap. The market cap is the only thing that matters. And in December, you saw a pivot where a lot of new money entered, and they had these kind of dreams of. And I recall back in June, I looked at coin when I first got into the space. I just looked at the dollar price, and I looked at coins like Verge, which were like 5 cents, and I looked at coins like Digital Notes, and some of these other like kind of high Digibyte, and said, this is 1 cent, this is a half a cent. If it only goes to $1, if it goes to $2, I'll be rich. What if it goes to $100 like Ethereum? And you have to understand that people entering do think that way, and you saw that clearly with the rise of Ripple, Tron, Verge in December. All of those coins ripped off for massive gains. So to me, NCASH having a large supply is not necessarily a bad thing. I actually find it to be a good thing, because a lot of the new money will not understand the metrics of tokens and supplies and what how the price relates to circulating supply, and they're just going to look at dollar signs and see, oh, this token's 3 cents. What if it goes to $1? I'll be rich. So you have to understand the psychology of the market. So I think that's actually a positive rather than a negative. But yeah, I think we could keep going. When is the next wave of new money? I mean, do you want to take a break and talk about what's going on in the market? Because I think it's relevant.
Well, I've discussed this as I've discussed this like in the group calls in the dojo. I strongly believe the next wave of new money would be after tax season, when people have their taxes sorted and they pay those off, and then they can figure out what to do, how much money they have left over or whatnot. And that means end of April or May. I expect May to be pretty bullish for the market. That's where money would come in. Financially speaking, that makes the most sense, because everyone's done with tax, and corporations and stuff are done with Q1 in end of March. So by April they pay the tax, and by end of April, May, they can start spending money again. Speculating on shit like crypto.
Yeah,
so that would make the most financial sense.
Yeah, I think we're going to start to see a turnaround mid-April, like a serious turnaround. But, talking about what's going on, like literally today, yesterday, tomorrow, to me, it's pretty obvious that the tide is turning. We're not out of the woods yet, but for the people that are saying, 3K, 4K, BTC, because governments are going to want to crush it, I just disagree. I don't think it's happening. I think that it was a long squeeze, and a lot of people, whales, whatever, whoever, governments, you never know who's holding all the currencies. But I think they knew that G20 was not going to be the bearish apocalypse that people were expecting. And for some time, people were talking about how, G20 is going to be so bad, it's coming, you got to be careful for that. It's very similar to the SEC conference in the beginning of February. It was very negative. So, what you're starting to see now is a lot of positive news. France overturned their stance, and all of a sudden they want to be like the home of ICOs. That's big news. You have Donald Trump coming out against Petrocoin, kind of out of the blue. And I think it's a good move. I think it, kind of startled people. But the way I look at it is that the fact that Donald Trump himself is acknowledging cryptocurrency is just the next step before he starts to really promote it in some regard. Say what you want about the man, but he wants to benefit. He's an opportunist. He's going to take advantage of opportunity. And you have Vladimir Putin in Russia coming out and saying that they want to be the leaders of this new technology. I don't think for 1 second Donald Trump isn't going to want to kind of like have a showdown and a race for who adopts first. And I think once he starts to tweet about Bitcoin or talk about it publicly, you're going to see a whole new group of people that were completely unexposed to this start to pay attention. And it just increases mainstream awareness and brings more money into the space. So, when you think about where we were last year, last summer, September with the China flood, when the market was around 100 billion, yesterday or the day before, we went all the way down to like 270 billion. Think about how much more exponentially exposed Bitcoin and crypto is now. Think about how your friends looked at you when you talked about Bitcoin last summer versus how they look at you now. The friends that were making fun of me last summer, I promise you they're not making fun of me anymore. They're listening to every word I have to say, okay? So that means something. You can't compare what happened in 2014 to where we are right now, and we're on the cusp of possibly the biggest bull market you're ever going to see, and then it's going to change. But that's the way I see it. I'm very, very optimistic on what's going to happen this year. It doesn't mean we're going to go straight up, but at the end of the day, I know I am so confident that the positions I opened yesterday, Icon at like $1.70 or something like that, Cash at 40 cents. 6 months from now, I'm going to look back like I'm going to be like a genius, and people are going to be like, how did you do that? And the answer is I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared, and I believed in my own research. I believed in my analysis on this market. And you know what? I could be wrong. I could look like an idiot 6 months from now. But you know what? You got to risk it. So that's the way I see it.
Well, personally, I don't think I'll be wrong. I think I've got it down. I've got my picks ready to go. So the thing is, I've done so many recent ICOs that I have a shitload of coins, and I'm gonna purge a few of them soon. But for now, we have our favorite coins that most people can agree on. Like me and Jake can both agree on a lot of our favorite coins that are primed to do really well this year in the coming year.
We really don't agree too
reasons.
often, honestly. Me and FOZ do not
Well,
always agree.
yeah. Well, to be fair, there's like 1,500 coins, so I'm sure we can narrow it down to like 10 or 12 that we do agree on. It's not that bad. Yeah, like okay, like
so
the next one that we like
might as well
Wanchain.
talk about Cash.
Oh, you want to go Cash? Okay.
Yeah, so Cash, I believe we're redoing the AMA Thursday morning at 8 a.m. But if you see my video, you see how I feel, how strongly I feel about the project. Obviously, the beginning of April, we're looking to see World Book Beta open up. Finally, some of the things are going to start happening. They just opened margin trading with up to 100x leverage. And I don't want to give away all the goodies, but for me, looking at Cash, I'm like, there's at 180 million cap for what they're going to do, for what the team is, for the advisors, for the partners, for the actual bringing liquidity to this market in such a big way. It does have competitors, but they are so far ahead of anybody right now that I have to believe that this could potentially be the investment that allows me to disappear, and I really think that Cash is going to blow up. You've heard me talk about it enough, but I'd like to hear FOZ talk about it because he wasn't always bullish. He comes with a very unbiased opinion. I don't think he even holds any Cash, but I'd like to hear what he has to say on it.
That's true. I actually don't own any Cash right now, and it's not because I agree with the points you made, and they have a lot of competitors coming like Xtrade and Cryptago and whatnot. But as you said earlier, I feel like Cash is way ahead of the competition, and they've got backing of Coin. Coin is a legitimate player in the crypto industry, not just coming from fucking Wall Street or something. But they've been in crypto for a few years, which is a big deal. So they have better connections than
they have regulation by the Japanese government.
Sometimes it doesn't really matter if you're first. If you have a slightly better product, if you're not first to market. Sometimes being first to market is more important, which is what Cash probably will accomplish without anything else. They will definitely be first to market from the current looks of it.
Yeah, so basically for people that are asking my projections, I think it's going to be a multi-billion-dollar cap this year. So, a pretty easy 20x in my opinion. Easy 20x. That's where I see it. Minimally. From this right now.
When they
He just wants money from us and he can sell. I just want money from you.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's talk about Wanchain. I know Foz knows more about it than I do. When will the when?
See, the longer it goes on, the more comfortable I feel, considering the fact that I have no ether in this fucking ICO for some reason. I had massive FOMO in about Jan when the market was doing really well because everyone expected it to open at like 20x or some bullshit like Icon did. Now the market's a lot more chilled out and it's a lot more suppressed, to be honest. I'm very curious to see where it opens.
Yeah.
I know I think, okay, so if people aren't aware, Wanchain, what is it? It's Wan, isn't it? It's not even Wan. Wanchain. Yeah. So they have a lot of things. So if you look into them, they actually have a shitload of stuff they want to do. It's not a very simple project, and they plan on doing ICOs and projects on their platform later on during the year, and some of them are already in play. It's not like they're gonna launch the network and then the ICOs will start. No, they've already in progress to start a few of the projects that are supposed to launch on Wanchain. So there's honestly no reason to not be bullish on this project if you think about it. I can't think of any major negatives except for the fact that the ICO holders have now been holding it for like 7 months, which sucks to you, but
it might give us a good opportunity to buy it cheaper, to be honest. People that are
I'll be honest, if it opens at like 4 or 5x, I'll be much happier that I waited 7 months, because the opportunity cost of waiting 7 months is huge. ICO wise, people got kind of screwed over, especially if it releases in a market like this. But project wise, it's great. There's very few downsides to it. There's very few negatives to it. We've got a good team. No FUD around it so far. You could argue that the delay in their mainnet and all that is a negative, but that's okay. It's all, what's done is done now. Just have to move on. And looking forward, it looks really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember before we were talking about we were curious to see if Wan would open under 5 million cap. And at this point, what do you think it's going to open at, if you had to guess?
Oh, 500 million.
Yeah, okay. 500 million, sorry.
Okay, so if you look at recent big projects, Ontology opened huge. Okay, Ontology recently opened very huge, and it's still quite a high market cap. Ontology was also very hard to get in, very hype project. Almost no one I knew got in. And it was all private sale, and it opened very high. So, at least ICO people could dump it. Not even the ICO people, the private, like friends and family of the Ontology people, they were able to dump it, and now it's still a decently high cap point. So good projects will still come out ahead. They just won't open 10x. In a good market, these projects would open like 10, 12x. But in a suppressed, a more bearish market, you can still like NCASH still open at what, 3, 4x, and
yeah, about 4x.
So you can still, yeah, and so you can.
Right, but NCASH dumped down to like 2.5x. So if let's say Wan opens at 4 or 5x and then it dumps, that would be an opportunity that I would say take advantage of.
That's the way I see it. It's a bit more complicated with Wanchain because they did their ICO so many months ago. Ether price was completely different. I think the easiest way to talk about it right now is in USD terms and not in Ether terms. So USD wise, they collected around 40,000 Ether. No, way more. Sorry, they collected 100,000 Ether. Almost. Yep. They collected 110,000 Ether.
What was it pegged to at the time? That was a long time ago, though. It was like probably like 35 million.
Yeah, they collected around 35, 40 million. So there's no point talking about Ether because there's a whole different amount of calculations there. But I think if it opens anywhere below 300 million market cap, it's a good buy. And That would mean, by the way, there's 107 million tokens that are going to be launched, circulating supply. So if it opens below 80 to 90 cents, it's probably a good buy. It's a very good buy. Like this is only possible because of the shitty market. If you asked me 2 months ago, I would have said, "Oh, I'd probably buy it up to." Sorry, what am I saying? It's 107 million tokens, not 80, 90 cents. $3 to $4. Yeah, $3 to $4 is a good buy. If you asked me 2 months ago, I would have said $5 to $7 is the max I would buy up to. Because I personally don't really like buying super high cap coins. But my max is like around 400 or 500 million. I'll keep a few high cap coins, but otherwise I like to keep lower cap coins because they can do a lot more performance wise.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right.
If anyone actually has valid criticism for Wanchain, I would love to hear it.
I don't think anybody.
So far, yes, because so far, all I hear is glowing reviews from people about how it's gonna be like comparing it to Ripple and I don't know, like the next like 100x. Some people call it like next like 50x, 10x, whatever. So if there is some legitimate concerns about one, I would love to hear it myself, to be honest. Would be nice to know. But yeah, that's definitely a coin to look out for. And this is a coin that you'll see on almost any person making a top 10 list for the year. I'm sure you'll see it on almost every single list.
Yep. All right. Well, we're getting questions about Link, and I know that was one of your signature coins. That didn't. We were comparing. I think FOZ. Well, for people in the dojo, remind me. I think we had a bet even in November where I said Ven would outperform Link, and then you said something like Link and Request, and I said it'll outperform both of them put together, and I'm pretty sure I was right.
But I think I was talking about till 2020 and not like for a few months. I think we had a miscommunication about the timeline. Because I was talking about long term, and I look at the big picture, and well, obviously, clearly, Van has severely outperformed Link up to this point since in 2018, and that's because it's like the exact opposite teams, like communication wise. Van has all these like crazy announcements. They're making fucking videos and like. Announcing Thor and like all this bullshit and all these
salty.
No, but like Chainlink does nothing. Chainlink is like, you guys wait. We will let you know. Like maybe we'll catch.
FOZ, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
Is Chainlink going to do its thing?
I think Chainlink will do its thing. Chainlink will do its thing because. The main thing is they've been working on this on this supposed alleged product for like 3 years at this point. So I still believe they're gonna do their thing. I'm just the longer they don't communicate at all, it's just kind of frustrating for people that have been holding it for so long. Because I always talk about this, but the opportunity cost of things adds up over time. It really adds up. Holding Link for like months, the opportunity cost, it really adds up if you think about all the things you could have done. But as a project, again, the fundamentals are very good. The biggest problem is that their team is non-responsive. They do not give any dates. They don't give you any information. And I think I was telling you this before. Like I don't know if it's just because that's just the way they are, and they just don't give a fuck, or they legally can't do it because of NDAs signed with their customers. Maybe they have like some banks or something, and they can't. They mentioned one thing I remember, which stuck out with me, was what they said that, listen, the mainnet launch, we have large customers. We don't have some bullshit crypto small time customers, and we get one chance with these kind of big clients to launch properly. If we fuck it up, then we won't get a second chance with these kind of customers. And I'm assuming they mean banks and whatnot. So I can empathize with that, but you can still give us some more information rather than it'll be Q1 or it'll be some random fucking month before June. But fundamentally, the project is good, and I think when they're ready, whenever they release stuff, it's going to be like a torrent of news and partnerships because they will be finally be able to announce them. So I still believe in this project. I still hold Link, not as much as I did before, because like I said, the longer it goes on, the more annoying it gets. That why is my position so large in this? So I keep reducing my position, and for things that I do, I think will do better long term.
Yeah, I mean, sitting at
And if you look,
125 million, I'm actually with you. I think Link has, if they are able to accomplish something, which I believe they are. I don't think it's just some scam coin. They just do have, in my opinion, they have NDAs with some really heavy hitters. That typically when a project has a lot of NDAs, it means they're not like small companies that they're partnered with. So I think 2018 will be big for Link, and that's why we're naming it as one of our top gainers of this year. From 125 million, if they're able to really get going and start to release the news, announce these partnerships, get their project rolling, it has mega potential. So I'm with you on it now. I just back in November I saw then as the better upside, at least short to midterm, and I was right and better than you at that point in time.
I'm
So
sorry, you cut out a little bit there. I can't. I lost that last part, but yeah, man. Uh, yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, Link is definitely going to do really well.
yeah.
In 2018. The problem is, fuck knows when, because they won't say shit,
Yeah,
which
it's
is kind of
frustrating.
annoying.
It's frustrating, and just
Yeah.
when people lose hope, that's when they will. So I'm glad to see one of the. Maybe I should get back in. So let's move on to the next one. EOS,
Yep.
who raises like what, like a few million dollars a day or something. It's something crazy. Like they're raising so much money, and there was a lot of discussion during the dump that EOS was dumping, like 50,000 ETH a day, and that's not an accident. They are coming for ETH spot. They want to be one of the top cryptos market caps in the whole space, and I think they have a legit chance to do so. To be fair, there's a lot of questioning why do they need to raise all this money? They're doing a year-long ICO where they're going to raise $1 billion. So Foz, what are they going to do with that money?
They actually, if you look at it, they raise between 15 and 20,000 Ether every day, and they've done that for the last 200 days, and they're going to do that again for the next 100 until June. They're going to do that every day until June. So imagine getting 20,000 Ether every single day. What would you do? What kind of business needs that kind of money? Like, what the fuck? I doubt Google has expenses that high day to day. Like 20,000 Ether, that's what? Even at this point, that's how many millions is that? 10,000 Ether is 5 million, $10 million. They're raising 10 to 12 million dollars every day. So no one really needs that kind of money. But the question is, if they're smart with that money, they could do a shitload. The amount of marketing they could perform with that kind of money is unparalleled, obviously, because no one has this much money. Just think about it. They're raising 12 million minimum a day, like 10, 12 million a day. And that times that by 300, that becomes what? 10 million times 3, like 3 billion, 30 billion. What is that?
It's a lot. Anyway,
It's the 3 billion. It's
well,
3
they're going
billion.
to
Yeah,
spend
it's
it
3
to pay.
billion.
They're
So
going to pay developers to build
suppose you
on
raise
top
3
of their
billion.
platform once mainnet
Yeah.
is launched, and they're also going to buy ICO tokens and airdrop them to the EOS holders. So you can imagine the massive, crazy, insane FOMO that's going to cause, and it could propel EOS into a top 3 spot, in my opinion. So
See,
you're looking at like May to June. And for people that saying it's a scam, if you look at their GitHub, you look at the communications and their roadmap, they've been ahead of every target. So it's not like they're not working. And check out Dan Larimer. I mean, for people, I'm not a tech guy, but I know tech people. BitShares and Steam is very highly respected projects as far as the speed and what they do. Larimer is an OG. He's got more money already and more Bitcoin than he needs. And I think this is really more of like him wanting to put his stamp on this space and kind of surpass Vitalik as the top guy. So it's a competitive nature. I don't think it's when you start to do the billions of dollars thing. I mean, I don't think this guy is trying to scam us. It's a very legitimate project, and it could end up, really taking or dethroning Ethereum as the number 2 coin. So, it's something that I have to mention and I have to put in here. It's something that I bought at 60 cents in September as well, and told everybody that was my favorite coin. So, I haven't seen anything up until now that would make me any less bullish on it. So that's why I included in this stream.
And this is actually a good time to buy EOS.
It was a good time yesterday, below 54,000 sats, but we're up over like 65
I never
now.
buy. I never buy an exchange. I always use the ongoing ICO, so I only check what it's pegged to against Ether. So I never check USD for EOS. Never have, for now, until their mainnet launches, which is in June, and then we'll see the real price of EOS, because they release 2 million new tokens every day, and that's where they sell. That's where they get all this Ether from. They issue 2 million new tokens, and they collect like 15 to 20,000 Ether every day.
Yeah. People are asking about requests. That's another FOZ special, so you might as well enter it, discuss it. It's not in my top 10, but I'd like to hear what you have to say about it.
It was in my
And
top
I'll be right
10,
back.
and it's fallen out a little bit mainly because quite simply because there's just a lot of like competition around it. They wanted to tackle the payments section, and there were talks about how they want to you could call them like the PayPal of crypto, but there's been a ton of new projects recently that have come up with the same kind of concept, and with bigger names, bigger teams. So it's very hard for me to definitively say that Request is for sure going to be like is going to overtake all these other coins that are doing the same thing. So at this point, I'm cautiously optimistic on Request. I still hold it. I haven't sold all of it, but it's very likely that I might sell all of it in the next pump or whatever. I'm in profit in it, so I can sell all of it right now. Even it's not a big deal, but I would not put it in my top 10, only because I just have no reason to definitively say that they will beat out all the competitors. I have no knowledge. I don't have enough knowledge to say that. So Request for me, is like definitely no longer in my top 10. And there's better options at this point, I would say.
Okay.
If you're looking at like top 10 kind of coins where you think like, oh yeah, it'll be a huge year for 2018. And like I said, Request is one of those things where their roadmap is very good. It's very optimistic even, and so if the team is good enough, if they pull it off, if they're actually very competent and they actually pull it off, then yeah, they could be huge. But again, that's like half gambling at this point. I don't know what they have up their sleeves. Without more information, I can't really definitively back it. That's the whole problem.
Yeah. People have been asking about Nebulas, Nasty Nas. It's definitely in here. I haven't even looked at the market cap yet. The problem, I've been meaning to buy more and more Nebulas, but every time I send BTC to Huobi, I end up buying Qash with it. And I really need to allocate more to Nebulas. Just so you guys get perspective, like 50% of my portfolio is Qash and Icon. So I've really gone hard on those. And I think looking at Nebulas market cap, it's 170 mil. So it has really nice potential to grow. But being that Qash is 180 mil, I see Qash being a larger market cap than Nebulas, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. Not to say that Nebulas isn't outstanding. I do need to pick up more. They have mainnet launching very, very soon. Outstanding team. They're one of the first blockchain 3.0 projects, and they're providing a service that no one else is really doing right now. If you want to know more about it, definitely check out my video in the Coin Contender series. But I am not any less bullish. And I think Crypto Sally is doing a video on Nebulas today, so it's probably more updated than mine. Definitely check that out. But I think FOZ and I align that we both see the massive potential of this project. So for people that think I'm forgetting about it, I'm definitely not.
No, the potential is quite large, yeah, and I'm sure you covered most of it in your videos. Maybe I'll give your videos a look as well from now on. But I'm sure you have covered enough details to outline why it's such a good project. And a lot of people have. Again, I haven't seen a lot of negative stuff about this project. So yeah, I'm on board with NAS as well. Nebulas, because originally I thought it was just some decentralized search engine. So I was like, well, I don't see them beating Google anytime soon. But it's a lot more than that, as you've discussed and people have shown me. So for sure, the potential is quite large.
All right. Want to talk about Dragon? This is one that FOZ actually called Sunday when it was like 6,000 sats. Did you actually go through and buy it that day?
Yeah, I put
You
my buy orders lower than it was, and it dipped below 7,000 sats very briefly. But my buy orders weren't really there. My buy orders were around between 7.9 and 8.2k sats. So that's where I bought it yesterday.
It's fine.
Not like even a few days
It's
ago.
fine.
Just yesterday
It's
I bought it. Well, I couldn't predict the huge red candle if I wasn't there really. So I just put my buy orders in and they hit. So I'm already up 15% from my buy yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Dragon, especially with the USA government looking to nurture and adopt crypto rather than destroy it, Dragon may play a nice role. I know there was some FUD because they didn't do KYC or something. Do you know anything about that? Admittedly, I'm not too informed
They had to
on
delay
that.
the ICOs. I think the lawyers basically advised the first ICOs that are supposed to happen to delay or stop the ICO because KYC and all of that was becoming more and more of an issue, and they had no real plan to address that, so they delayed it, stopped it. I'm not sure what the deal is with the ICO. I haven't looked into it. It was Life ID, I believe.
So just taking the room, who's got their Dragon on their Ether wallet, accumulating that or growing that slumber score? I know B North is big on that. But
Yeah, so if people aren't aware, one of the reasons why Dragonchain is a good prospect for the year is because of this slumber score thing. It's a bit more it's a bit complicated, so I don't want to get into it now. But if you're curious, then you should look up what slumber score does. Well, essentially, it gives you, just by holding Dragonchain, you get a bonus or discount on their future ICOs, any future ICOs that they will have on their platform going forward. So that's one very valid reason to hold Dragonchain. That's assuming that they actually have good ICOs on their platform.
so
I mean,
I remember one of the critiques of Dragon back in the day was that we originally it didn't appear that they were going to do their own blockchain and they were just going to build on top of Ethereum, and that didn't make sense from a
that was my whole issue with it in the beginning. I'm like,
from what I've heard, they're actually doing a mainnet and they are building their own blockchain now.
yeah, that was my initial problem with them. Like, because I was under the impression that they wanted to compete with Ethereum. They wanted to make a different blockchain, but yeah, they're going to use Ethereum. So that was really strange to me. And but they're addressing that, and they are making their own blockchain, like you said. So it looks pretty good. And if you look at the market cap, it's around 175.
It's one of those
180
coins
million.
that's just like totally smashed. That
Yeah, it got
just
wrecked.
buy
It got
it. Just
absolutely
buy it. You probably make money. You're gonna do well.
Yeah,
It'll bounce back
fucking
hard as the
smashed,
altcoin
dude.
market turns around. So
Yeah.
6,000 sats, 7,000 sats. It's really too juicy to pass up. I've just been too lazy to send BTC over to KuCoin to buy more. But I think it was just such a no-brainer on Sunday. It was a good call, and I agreed with you. And typically when FOZ and I both agree on like an entry, it's good. So somebody asked something that I wanted to address, and I can't think about it. What is it? Oh, Ven. Back to Ven. When they're talking about is it going to dump with the snapshot? So you guys have to. I know a lot of the newer people, they remember with Bitcoin Private and the snapshot and the hard forks, the snapshot where stuff dumps, like NXT or something like that. Ven is a master node, so you don't like get to run your master node when you sell your tokens. So it's not the same as like a hard fork snapshot. So I it's not that I expect Ven to dump. I think Ven will perform well, as will, when the market is positive for altcoins, Ven is going to do well. I don't expect a dump. The only reason I moved to Icon was I expected Icon to do better. That's it. And it was hurt. It was hurting. It was becoming a meme. At 20k sats, 21k sats in that range, it was too effing cheap for me not to buy. And Ven was still very, very strong. But this whole notion that after the master nodes are locked, like it's going to dump, doesn't make complete sense to me, unless I'm missing something. But I don't see it that way.
Yeah, and I think one coin that we originally planned on mentioning, but I don't think we are, is Neo, because of the recent issues that have come to light again. And I think originally we were 100% on board with having Neo as one of the best coins to hold. Not because you're gonna make a shitload of money out of it, but just to have it in your portfolio. But there have been some issues with Neo recently, and that highlight how they're just not decentralized. There's a few issues with them, and that's been one of the reasons for their quite noticeable decline in BTC value. If you look at the charts, I mean the market's bad anyways, but that's one of the reasons why for sure. So I'm taking a hiatus on being super bullish on Neo for now until they properly address these decentralization concerns.
What else is there? I think we just about covered all of them. AION, which was recently shilled by Tika.
Yeah.
Man, shout out to Yaz. I know he made a great call within the dojo to enter AION pre-pump, and I wanted to get in. I set a calendar event to get in, and I didn't pull the trigger, and I wish I did. AION looks. That's another one of the solid cryptos that took a big hit in the last couple months. So, I'm pretty bullish on AION. I know that they're somewhat competitor with Wan, but also partnered with them. That doesn't make too much sense to me. I don't know if FOZ, you can elaborate, but ARK as well is another competitor.
I cannot. I'm
you
not
cannot.
sure about that myself.
Yeah,
I cannot.
But I think
I know they have
AION is definitely worth
an
a look.
alliance. They have an
Interoperability
alliance
is going to be a huge part of the future, and basically, you need somebody to be connecting all these projects together, and it's basically the same spiel you could give for promoting ARK with their smart bridge technology. AION, it's just a matter of betting on who's going to do it first and who will do it better and have more partnerships. So
one thing about AION, which is important to keep in track, is the fact that they have the TRS, so they get new tokens that come on the market every single month. So there's a dilution of supply every month. So you shouldn't be surprised if there's some dumpage regularly, because, for example, someone who's been collecting these TRS for 5 months may decide to dump all of them on the 6th month. So there will be some really large holders, and there's a heavy dilution because of the TRS lockup system and how they're going to distribute over the year. So that's one reason, that's a concern. Not on the project tech or anything like that, just price wise, it could affect it. And in bad markets, it definitely would, because the people who get TRS tokens are basically getting free tokens, so it would make sense for them to dump it if they, if they needed liquidity or whatever. For whatever reason, people dump for any reason you can imagine. You never know.
What FOZ? What you were formerly known as the ICO Beast?
Yeah.
Because your record was, I think, 70 for 72 profitable. but the last couple of months you kind of
No,
fell
I
off a
did
little bit.
70. I did 70, but like to be fair, like 20 plus of them were still pending. I've done over 70 now. I mean, I haven't really updated that sheet for a while because I haven't sold any recent ICOs, to be honest, like fully. So I can't really accurately update it. And if I were to sell the projects now, there would be some at a loss, as anyone can imagine. Like, let's see, what's at a slight loss? Haven's at a slight loss, but I think Haven will do okay. TE Foods. TE Foods was surprising because it was a 19 million cap. It was everyone was dying to get into the ICO, and it opened at like 10% above the pre-sale bonus price, which is terrible. So I think that's actually an undervalued coin at this point, rather than an underperform. Yeah, it is underperforming. So by that logic, it would be undervalued in this point. I think it's a prime candidate to do well when the market recovers.
Oh,
Key
please.
foods. What else? Let's see. So I see in bear markets, as anyone can see recently, like 90% of projects ICOs that open up are being sold at break even or like 5%, 10% profits, which is or even at a loss, which might seem like a loss to you, but maybe these guys got a better deal. So you don't know what the fuck is going on, right? Everyone gets different deals nowadays. So it's pretty hard to say.
All right, so one of the tokens that I think could really perform the best in 2018 is Lux. Obviously, Lux went through a couple different cycles, and now it's back to like a smashed level. But I'm working. Chris from the original Lux video is probably going to be popping in for a second just to talk a little Lux. But I think those that hold it and stake it at these levels are going to do exceptionally well. So I don't know what's the market cap at. Let me see. 8 million.
Lux.
It's back to 8 million. I remember we entered it was like 300,000.
We entered at 300,000.
That was so
yeah,
great.
It peaked around 30 million, 40 million.
Unbelievable.
There, yeah.
Unbelievable. But now
And,
it's gotten to the point where it's become very, very appealing again. And to be totally transparent, I'm not the authority on tech or privacy coins, and that's why I'd like Chris to talk about it. It wasn't something that I was looking at until I keep hearing Chris talk about how bullish he is on it. So I would like to give the audience a chance to hear why, rather than just my words. But yeah.
Yeah, personally as well, I divested most of my Lux holdings between 200,000 and near the peak even. Like surprisingly, for once, I actually sold near the peak. Not all of it, but I always sell in increments. So I sold like 15-20% near the peak, and because the peak was around because the peak for Lux happened around the same time where ICO craze was taking off. So I actually sold to put it into ICOs. So I didn't realize that was going to be the top, because who can actually call the top? But Lux has taken a big hit and it keeps going down. I'm surprised it's this low.
Yeah.
I was going to sell all of my holdings. I still have a little bit of Lux, not a lot. Significantly lower than obviously like less than 10% of my original holdings at this point. Very few Lux left. But then again, we bought it at 300,000 market cap, so there was a lot of Lux to sell. It did fund a lot of other things, so no bad but blood with Lux on my end. And Chris can speak more to the tech side for it, because I honestly, I just like to. I haven't looked at it for a while. So yeah, Lux I can't really comment much.
All right, I think Chris is ready. Let's see if he can join us. Talk a little Lux. Yeah, you should have seen what happened last week with the AMA. It was wild. when those guys kept joining, I'm so glad you weren't there to laugh at me, because I know you would have got a real kick out of how that went down. But it was something else. And shout out to the guys in the different chats that were like, KJ, you just gave out your CC. There he is. Can't hear you, buddy. I was like, Chris, come on now. We're talking Lux.
It's a kind
What
of
is going on?
he,
This is like a
he
Benny
does it
Hill
very
video.
excited. He does
Come
it
on,
very
Chris.
excited to talk about
I can't hear you.
it.
All right, sorry
There
about
he
that.
is.
Just pausing the video and everything.
The
yeah,
legend.
You want me to talk about Lux, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Lux. As you know, I've done a few studies for the dojo. I'm on privacy coins in general, amongst others, and I took apart a whole bunch of privacy coins, and all in all, Lux is the one that for me is the one that's going to win out in the end. It's got really good tech behind it. It's got good devs. It's got a good team. They're not promoting it the way people that really want the price to rise. Give me 1 second. What the hell is this? All right. Sorry about that. It's not rising meteorically right now because they're not focused on marketing. They're focused on tech. They're focused on making sure that they've got all the milestones rolled out, like parallel mass roads, the smart contracts, SegWit, and everything else is coming out. They just got listed on Crypto Bridge, which is a client-side DEX, which is really cool because right now there's only one option to trade it. So I expect that the price action be a little bit more on the upside in the coming days because they have a few things coming up, like Tier 1 exchange promised also before the end of Q1, which is coming to a close right now. So all in all, love the project, love the team.
That's one thing I'm very interested to look at is that the fact that Q1 is actually ending and a shitload of people made a lot of promises for the end of Q1.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to see how many of those are broken because it's literally just 10 days, 11 days left right now in Q1.
Yeah.
And
well,
I highly doubt all of them were just waiting for the last days. So a lot of promises are going to be broken.
I'm looking at what they're doing in the GitHub. And I'm not going to say that I look at every single line of code they do. I don't have time to do that, but I do pop in from time to time and try to see where they're going. And they're doing a lot of work. Those guys are pulling out a lot of work on this project. So.
What's the change to the masternode rewards now?
Right now it's a little bit messy because they're still I think they're still busy seeking their network. Their blockchain, so it's not giving what it's supposed to be giving. But for the master nodes, they're reallocating more towards the master nodes and a bit more towards staking and less on the mining.
Got it. So meanwhile, I have the two of you here. Might as well discuss the overall market sentiment because we all look at things very differently. So clearly. I'm more on the bullish side. I think the tide is turning, and we're going to see a ramp up into April, where we'll really reach kind of like a fever pitch in the end of April, beginning of May, and it'll be kind of epic. And then there will be another retrace, just like in January. But I'd like to understand or hear, Chris, what do you think about the current market sentiment? Where do you think we're heading? What do you think of the news, G20, etc.? What's your take?
I think everybody's scared shitless. Just put it in plain English. Yeah, scared shitless. Everybody's holding their breath. They're waiting for the results coming out of this meeting. I know we got a little bit of good news, but I mean, as well as I do in the past, good news is often followed by FUD. So we'll see what comes out of this. If ever they do come out with good news and not just fickle stuff that people like to weave around, but something that's actually concrete, I think that we might be out of the bear market. Realistically, I think we still have a couple of hard months ahead.
Okay. So you don't think, where do you see the market cap going April 1st, if you had to guess? Where do you think we'll be?
April 1st, that's... I'm thinking we're still going to be around the same place.
Around the same place. So
yeah,
between...
I think we're going to go up to 450 to 480. Then we're going to go right back down again a little bit. And then that's at the point where I think we're going to hit our second bottom. And then we're going to slowly start going up and ramping towards...
So you think we will see 6K again this year? or at least in the next couple months.
I thought we were going to hit it already. So I'm no longer sure about the 6K, because if you look at the bottom rising trend, we've passed that at this point, and we haven't challenged that and broken it the few times that we've tested it. So I think that, you know, our new bottom might be around 772 for now.
Yeah.
And that bottom is going to keep on rising.
Mr.
Yeah,
Foz?
Well, no, it's the same. The charts we linked yesterday were quite similar because, well, you know, you can't change the trend lines that much. And they all show a 7.2 as one of the bottoms, and it did not break it yesterday. And it jumped quite heavily today. Like, where is it now? 8.4? Yeah, 8.4 right now. And the lowest it went to yesterday was 7.3. So it did not break that trend line, which I mentioned was very important. 7.2 is very important because after 7.2, then you have 6.9 and then 6 on the back on the table again. If it breaks 7.2, what happens is if it breaks 7.2, I'm sure it'll go straight to 7K because it's not just me and Chris who have 7.2 as our number. It's a shitload of people. So when you see 7.2 break, a lot of people will sell. It'll probably get to 7K instantly. And then if 7K breaks, same thing happens again. People are like, oh shit, 7K is breaking, it's going back 6K. And it can cause a lot of panic selling. And those are, luckily it didn't happen because I was fully prepared for that personally. Because after the last 3 months, we've come to expect the worst at this point. Why would you be optimistic? Especially with governments and everything, like especially G20. G20, no one really knows what's going to happen. The best case scenario in my mind would be that the biggest countries say that we are looking into it. That would be okay. That would be okay. We can't really realistically expect them to come around and be like, oh yeah, we checked out Bitcoin the last week. It looks pretty good. Let's everyone so everyone buy some. It's all good. We can change it. It's not going to happen. And other side of the coin, they're not going to come out and be like, okay, we all agree, ban Bitcoin, ban no more Bitcoin in banks, no more crypto money in banks. That's not going to happen either. So if there's a neutral stance being taken at the end, I would say that's okay. That's almost a win in my book. Because I don't really expect any overtly positive statements coming out in tomorrow. Is it Tuesday? Yeah. Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens tomorrow. And one of the potential the biggest catalyst would be, what does China say tomorrow? You know, people, we all roll our eyes, but you know, what if they came out and said, you know, we've changed our minds, you know, again for the 5th time? Is it impossible that they say, you know what, we want to get back in? We've been working on a government exchange. Crypto is for the people. Blah blah blah. They come out with some sort of BS, but it's not impossible, and that would be the mega catalyst that would launch another bull market, in my opinion. So you don't know what's going to happen.
I'm hoping
we never know.
Yeah.
Well,
So you think about international, you know, governmental chess game. You have Russia, USA, and China.
Okay.
So if Russia and USA are bullish, what's China they're just gonna turn their back and say, you know, we want nothing to do with this?
Because of the what China's been like in the past few months. At this point, most people are just completely given up on China.
Yeah.
We don't even expect anything. So if they give you anything nice, we'd be like, wow, oh that's great, that's awesome. It's like, you know, it's like someone who says they hate you and they come around and they say anything nice about you, then you'll be pretty happy. You know,
right? We're not expecting anything from nobody at this point. We've all but ruled that potential out, but it doesn't mean it can't happen, and it doesn't mean it wouldn't be impactful if it did.
Yeah.
Not that I expect that to happen, but it is possible.
Yeah, I don't think China's completely left, and I think the government's going to quickly realize that, you know, what they can do to prevent OTC trades is very limited. There's always going to be a will, unless they cut themselves off from the rest of the internet, like North Korea did. But apart from that, I mean, barring that, you can't really stop OTC trades. You can make it illegal, but you can't stop it. At a certain point, they're going to come to the realization that they might be better off to work with crypto and to tax it properly, make money off of it.
And I think we saw something yesterday that was actually pro blockchain tech from China. I'm trying to remember the article, but it was in Chinese. Somebody had linked it in the dojo. But and the Communist Party came out and they said something positive about 2 weeks ago. So obviously they're not just like closed-minded to the usage of blockchain and the advantages of it. It's just a matter of how can they make sure that money laundering isn't going on, how can they keep the money within China, and how can they not fall behind the other superpowers in the world. And you're starting to see India become more accepting of it.
Russia. I mean, Russia's very accepting of it because they don't want to be second tier behind another country or another group that's going to...
And you got to think about, I mean, everything is like, it's all TA when you think about it, and you have to think about it logically. So, all right, I'm not political, okay? But this election in America that happened with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, there's a lot of discussion about Russia and how Russia had the advanced hacking trolls on Facebook, and that's why Donald Trump lost. And the hacking, and Russia beat us there. We have a better military, but they had better computers. Now you have Vladimir Putin coming out and saying he wants to be ahead of the curve on blockchain. Do you really think that the U.S. government and Donald Trump are going to be behind the curve on the next technology, or what's being heralded as the next big technology?
Well,
and we're going to just shut it down? No. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't want to jump in and explain American politics to an American, but in America, Trump has a lot less power than Putin does, right? So
this is true.
Putin is a different entity. Like Trump can say whatever bullshit he wants, but
to be fair, I'm going to jump in and tell you that when what's his name? The Chase guy. What the hell is that guy? Jamie Dimon came out and said Bitcoin's a scam. It dumped like 30%, 20%. So if you think that Jamie Dimon has more influence than Donald Trump in this arena, I would argue that he doesn't. And I think that if Trump were to come out bullish on crypto and Bitcoin, it would definitely generate a lot of excitement, a lot more awareness, and a lot more money in the game.
Any public figure saying anything nowadays can trigger a big deal. Like for example, Rihanna
she crashed Snapchat.
She crashed. She said something about her to 60 million followers on Instagram that they should delete Snapchat, and the price dropped by 5%, the stock price. So
Kylie Jenner too.
Yeah, it does matter, and Trump is significant public figure at this point.
All he has to do is pull out his cell phone and tweet. That's all he has to do. We're one tweet away from a bull market, all the time. You don't think his sons and like his representatives are?
No,
buying
I don't think his sons have Bitcoin. No? I don't think.
You don't think so?
These are sons that were. Well, no, sons that are born like 100 millionaires don't usually care about the new technology unless they made it from tech. They're old school. Real estate is like old school money, right? Yeah. So it's completely different. Maybe their grandsons.
But the thing is, you're not in America. So what Donald Trump preaches is about bringing back American innovation. And the way he won the election was he started to talk about how when you go to Dubai, where you're from, how the airport is so magnificent. And then when you go to JFK in New York, it's a shithole. And you look at our roads and you compare the technology and the infrastructure in America, we've gone down the tubes. So he's all about innovation and being ahead of the curve. And I'm not, shilling Donald Trump. I'm just saying that was the message that he used to win the election. So
I thought he said he just wanted to bring jobs back to America or some shit.
Right, by building the infrastructure here instead of going to other countries and building free stuff in the countries that we've destroyed. And I'm not saying I agree with it, but at the end of the day, his message was very pro-American innovation. So I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be shocked as well if he released something about it. Like I think Donald Trump is hilarious, except for the
I do too.
Yeah, I think he's There's nothing he says affects me directly. So if I lived in America, I'll be a bit worried, but I don't. But personally, I think he's just hilarious. He's like a caricature of a person, to be honest. But I'm always interested in what he has to say, especially about topics that he has no real knowledge in. So I'm assuming he'll come out bullish on big. Let's see. On the other side, if you think about it, there could be like some random terrorist attack where they mention.
We're going way off on a tangent.
Yeah. Okay. So this is no longer about top coins for. Well, there is Trump coin. There's Trump coin. So it's kind of on.
Bullish on Trump coin? Yay or nay? No. Hey, by the way, I made a bet with Yaz in the dojo that Icon would hit 30K sats by Tuesday, tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. So I still have 28 hours. We're at 265.
Oh, man, it's really close.
What do you think? I think it's going to happen.
Does it?
267
volume
now.
decreasing? I don't know, man. It's going to be close. It's going to be really close.
We're getting there. The phone is building up. So we shall see what happens. Actually, FOZ didn't take the bet. He got scared at the last second. And so did Soldier. But somebody took it. I think I'm going to win it. We'll see. 30K tomorrow.
Which bet is this? For Icon?
Icon, yeah. 30K sats. What do you think, FOZ?
There was no bet with Icon. I never looked at Icon
charts.
No,
I didn't bet you. I bet somebody else. Somebody else took the bet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I never look at Icon charts because it's like a daily. Everyone has so much Icon. Like if anything changes, someone always comments. So it's like a live chart in the dojo.
Yeah.
It's not.
Are you holding any Icon? Did you buy the dip?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Did I buy any Icon? Not personally. Okay. Well, you could say I have some Icon, but I don't have a lot of Icon.
Okay.
I went
similar to
with Oracles instead. So
I think if we look at historical trends, this is a good sign for me.
I'm going with Oracles instead. I think POA is going to do really well in the next bull market.
Chill that POA. Yeah, I don't have any. Convince me why I should be buying POA right now.
Okay, so it's a side chain for Ethereum to help Ethereum scale. Everyone knows Ethereum has scaling issues. Like Ethereum can't scale at this current point unless they do some new shit with it. But POA is supposed to be a side chain, so it's not a competitor. It's supposed to be an aid. It's supposed to complement Ethereum, which is always a good thing. And they have a different consensus mechanism, which I think is reasonable. And that's mainly it. I just think based on that alone is enough for it to get a few $100 million market cap. Raiden, for example, Raiden is a scaling solution for Ethereum, and it's valued at right now. It peaked very high, obviously, in the bull markets and whatnot, but right now it's valued around 150 million, which is still double what POA is. So at the very least, if you compare it just to Raiden, you could say you could 2x on it. So I can't give you a number. I can't say that this is going to go 10, 20x or anything. But I still think this is a good bet for a 2, 3, 4x when the market recovers. Which is, I'm okay. I'm okay with the 3, 4x as well. It's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you're looking at these days, Chris?
I'm looking at shitcoins and masternodes because I'm mostly bored. I'm not trading a lot because of this market. I'm waiting. I'm holding my breath like everybody else. But no, nothing that's really all that interesting. There's a couple of them that I'm looking at that could be interesting, but when when the risk is worth it for most of the people in the dojo, I'll shut them out.
Yeah, I know Dignity was something that we're looking at, something that I'm holding, which is kind of like a hedge play. It's like you're buying an ETF for gold, and the thing is, pegged to the price, you're basically buying gold at 1/10 of the price. So it's not one of those coins that has like unlimited upside. It could just go to the moon. But it's basically a hedge play where you're buying gold, and I need to get the FA in front of me, the article, but basically what Dignity is they are going to be mailing people gold, actual hard gold, for their tokens every November. And with their money, they didn't do an ICO, I believe. They're going to be buying mining equipment in Canada. So Canada is one of the cheapest places to mine. You have Bitmain moving out there, and they are one of the premier areas for gold mining. So basically, they're going to be mining with gold and partnering with groups like that that do the gold, and they're also going to be doing their own Bitcoin mining. And the tokens themselves will be worth approximately $1. I think it's like 0.024 ounce. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but currently, basically, all you need to know is you're buying gold for 1/10 of the price. And I know, Chris, you looked into it as well, but it is a really interesting project to me.
Yeah, I stopped at the point where most of the team is not visible. When you just have advisors on the website, and the people that we know that are most involved with this are not able to get the information on the ones that are going to actually run this project, that's where I stop. I need that kind of information before I can start making kind of.
You just have to believe. Just close your eyes.
No. It's too much shitcoin out there bad shitcoins out there to do that. So no, I want to vet the team at least. Lux is the closest I've ever been to an anonymous team. And the only thing that really got me into that project, because we didn't know anything about those guys, was the activity and the fact that they were moving forward and that they actually had something to show for it after a little while. So.
Oh yeah, Lux was. I bought a large amount of Lux with no reason, with no knowledge of it myself. Yeah. I just had to go on Jake and Johnny's word on it. So I was ready to sue them if it went badly. To be fair, but it worked out. It's all good.
Yeah. There's Syscoin. Yeah, Sys. Yeah, people are trolling me on Sys, and they're saying these. Sys has been around forever. They're doing the Sys 3.0 hard fork, they say it's a hard fork. I need to get further clarification on exactly what that means. But basically, Syscoin is a marketplace on the blockchain, and they've been around forever, and they're finally getting to the point where they're going live. Their website is going live. I think it's blockmarket.com. It's way more efficient and cost effective for the seller than eBay, and they're actually also going to have ICOs on their platform. Their first one is Coin Payments Coin, which I think they should do something about that name. I'm not crazy about Coin Payments Coin. Coin first name, Coin last name, but nevertheless, I have looked into that project, and it's actually very legitimate. It's not just some vaporware ICO, and I think they're going to end up selling out in pre-sale. So the rest of the quote-unquote ICO tokens are going to be airdropped to Syscoin holders in June. They also have the implementation of masternodes coming, and basically for where it's priced and the amount of catalysts it has coming up, Syscoin is also a fork of Bitcoin, and I'll be talking more about Syscoin, but I just feel very confident about how it will perform over the next few months, and we'll see if it gets mainstream adoption long term. You got to remember there were coins like Steemit. So I remember when Steemit was very popular and it was like a top 20 token, and I started to research it, and what I noticed was Steemit, like they had 12,000 users like weekly. It's nothing. Like, how is a project that only has 12,000 users worth millions and hundreds of millions of dollars? It didn't make any sense to me. So this is part of being in a speculative market. And for me to be confident on Sys long term, I need to see what type of user adoption it gets. So when people ask me what I think about long term, I can't answer that question. All I know is short term, they have so many events and big catalysts coming that I think it would be foolish not to hold it in your portfolio at this point, especially at these price levels.
A couple of people have mentioned Loom, which is Loomex, the ICO that happened recently. I did the ICO for Loomex, and it's one of the only ones that opened at a profit. And it's also about sidechains on Ethereum, which is a good. It's quite promising, to be honest. That's why if it was any other project, I would have sold it. Obviously, in this market, I would have taken the 2x and ran with it. But I think it looks good again, because it's side chains for Ethereum. It's not exactly trying to compete with Ethereum, but it's going to complement Ethereum. And these kind of projects, I feel good about because they help the whole crypto space as a whole. They don't try and remove Ethereum. from its seat as number 2, but they try and help, and it just help. It's good for the whole what do you call it? The cryptosphere. Yeah,
Yeah, the ecosystem. Yeah,
yeah,
and
exactly.
no, it really is because as we've seen with CryptoKitties and other projects, as soon as something is launched on Ethereum with high transaction volumes, it becomes almost disabled. So you need to have these side chains and these side solutions for something that's symbiotic. Yeah, I agree with you. I like those projects.
And Loom versus Oracles, they're slightly different. If you look into them, they're not exactly, unless I'm wrong, they're not exactly comparable side to side. Loom has some more components to it than Oracles. Oracles is a bit simpler than Loom. So again, Loom is the kind of project which needs partnerships. I haven't looked into where they are with partnerships wise, but their the tech and their idea, I like it. It looks good, and I'm holding it from the ICO, from the pre-sale ICO, whatever. PyCon is asking me, do you still hold leverage? Yes, I still hold leverage because it's become a very long-term bag for me. It drops really low, so I bought like a lot more when it dropped really low. So overall, I'm actually at a profit for leverage. I could sell it now overall at a profit, but it's a very small, insignificant part of my portfolio at this point. So I'm just leaving it and might as well wait until they release their mainnet, which should be soon, because they also mentioned, I believe, Q1, Q2, like every single coin, like the Q1, like how many coins? Like I said, like every coin was just in Q1 or March, April. So let's see how many of them actually deliver around this time.
Yeah. So
See a lot of
we
things
could talk
pop
crypto
up.
forever. I mean, we've been going for an hour and a half, and people will complain your videos are too long. So I want to wrap it up, but if there are any parting comments, thoughts, Chris, give the people your thoughts, please.
My thoughts. Look, I saw Sonam go up several times scrolling in the comments. Sonam, you should have taken profit in December. I mean, it was a project that I was really bullish on. It was a really good idea. The marketing wasn't properly executed, but it went 3x from when we called it. So you should have taken profit at that point. If they get their marketing on track, I think that it's still very solid. The team's solid as well. But yeah, they need to do that. They need to get out there to be able to move further.
FOZ, anything you want to tell the people?
Well, I mean, market's pretty bad. You just got to hang in there for a little bit more. Personally, I think mid-April should see some action. I think Chris said he's a bit more bearish. He expects the market to stay down for 2 months or so. But for me, I would say, and it could. I mean, assuming that no good news comes out before that, if the market it just keeps going like it does right now, I feel like it's going to stabilize, be a little bit stagnant for now. So you just got to hold tight, and because this is not the level where you can go into fiat anymore. 8,000 is kind of a bullshit level to sell into fiat, unless you think it's going to go to like 4K and some really bad news comes out for Bitcoin, which no one can really predict anyways, right? So just hold tight and wait. Let's wait and see what mid-April to late April should be interesting, in my opinion. It should get a lot more action. The volume will pick up, and we'll see a lot more trading opportunities. Because I agree with Chris. I've barely traded. This is probably my lowest trading volume for since this whole year for many months. There's not much to do.
We're just 2 weeks off each other then.
Yeah. I mean, I'm giving a general time frame. I think I always said I expect May to be bullish, and if May is not bullish, then I would be kind of worried, to be honest. But until then, yeah, April, May. What's a couple weeks here and there when we've been down for like 4 months?
Exactly. You have to be a little bit patient, and
Yeah.
it's just like, think about it. Ask yourself this question. On Saturday and Sunday, when Bitcoin was in that 73 to 7,500 level, were you saying, I'm selling now to buy at 6K, I'm selling now to buy at 3K? Like, okay, when Bitcoin goes down like over 10% in a day, it's too late to sell. When will you learn? When will you learn? You don't.
Yeah, for me, my point was 8,900.
And not to say that, you know, like, so like, let's say when Bitcoin was 15K and it went down 10%. I still contest at that point when those big red candles form, it's too late to sell. You buy the bounce. I mean, you sell the bounce. So the next day when it recovers 5 to 6%, then you sell if you're still bearish.
Yeah,
but you can't, when it's all happening at once, you can't sell at that moment in time. Like if you're bearish right now, today is the day to sell, not Saturday or Sunday. But I'm not bearish.
If you're a normal trader and if you're not an experienced leverage trader, then don't try and buy after. Just buy the bounce, and don't try and make some crazy guesses, because you might be right once out of 5 times, but you probably lose. You could lose a lot more money in those 4 times that you're wrong. So don't take that risk. Just buy the bounce. Because right now, yesterday I should have opened some longs yesterday on Bitcoin, but I'm not sure why it didn't. But so I did. I just did today because it looks okay, and G20 so far looks okay. I have stop losses set in, obviously, because you never know what bad news can come out, so you can't just blindly open any longs or anything. So just be cautious and just have to wait it out for the big monies. The big money is not going to be anytime this week or next week, unless G20 summit gives you some crazy news.
All right, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Here come the trolls. The trolls. Peace out, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.